the grapes. Check this out.
Hello, and welcome back to Youth Group Reunion Tour, the podcast that unpacks the Christian cultural touchstones that you grew up with in the 90s and 2000s. I'm your host. My name is Jared.
And this is your co-host, Mikey B.
And we are very excited. We have a very special guest today. We're going to go ahead. Mike, why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit of a background info, and then we'll get him introduced here.
Sure. This is a super exciting guest. To introduce our guest, our guest's name is Dan. Dan is the co-owner of a very prolific meme account with over 40,000 followers at Youth Group Memes, and is the co-host of a brand new podcast starting this month called The Gospel According to Podcast at TGAT Podcast if you're on Instagram and other places along the web. Say hi to Youth Group Reunion Tour, Dan.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here. I feel like we grew up together, raised by pop culture and youth group culture around the same time. So yeah, I'm sure we have some similar experiences over the years, even though this is the first time we've ever talked to each other.
Yeah, it's super interesting, right? So our podcast generally focuses on 90s and 2000s Christian culture. So, a lot of the stuff that we grew up with, but I think we're roughly around the same age, right? We're in our 30s. I think you're in your 30s as well. So I'm just kind of curious, I guess, as far as the vision for the Gospel According to Podcast, your vision for how are you going to talk about Christian culture? We try to take the approach of having it to be more fun and lighthearted, but a little nostalgic too. I was just curious to see your take and sort of your vision for your podcast here coming up.
Yeah, so the Gospel According to, each episode will be focusing on a different element of really kind of culture, pop culture. So our first 3 episodes will be the Gospel According to Kanye. We'll talk about his music. We'll talk about how he interacts most recently with the our world of Christianity with his album and Sunday service and things like that. And so then our second one, we talk about memes. Third one, we talk about just sports, playing sports, but also following sports and just how that factors into our faith. And so I'm huge on pop culture stuff. My wife's always like, how do you have time to know all this stuff? And so that's kind of my little niche is I try to know a little bit about everything. And so I'll have kids in my youth group or church, and they'll be into something. And so I'm like, all right, I need to get a couple factoids about this. Sometimes it's my one friend was into this nerdy Star Wars game. So I'm like, I need to learn enough about it that I can make fun of him for it. Just a little bit enough. So I try to grasp at different things. And so, yeah, we're just, me and my friend Dave, that's funny. We grew up in youth group together in the same way that you guys did, and then kind of went our different paths after that, but it stayed friends. And so we're, talking about faith, but faith as it comes and goes with these other aspects of our life and how we can see the gospel in it, or how there's some maybe false gospels that are found in and around these parts of our culture.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I just wanted to maybe bring up here, you are a pastor, correct? This is a youth group themed podcast. So yeah. I was just curious if you're the youth pastor or, you're a different type of pastor so we can make sure to adapt the content accordingly here.
So I did 7 years. I was, a youth pastor, solely youth pastor. And then I moved to a church that my father-in-law founded. So I went from a bigger United Methodist Church where there's, Sunday 500 people there. So we had, a bigger youth group, junior high, senior high, where I was in charge of young adults youth group. And then I felt called to this other church where I became the associate pastor there for a few years. But I was still in charge of the youth group, just in charge of a lot more because it's a smaller church. And 2 years ago, my father-in-law retired. So now I'm small church pastors where I'm in charge of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
head honcho.
So I have my title is lead pastor, very, the cool title.
But cool. That means you wear all the hats sometimes, right?
Yeah. So, I do some worship leading. I We had a youth group that kind of aged out, but we have a lot of little kids. So I have 4 daughters, and my oldest is now in our junior youth group that we started. That's like 4th through 6th grade, and so we'll kind of start building that as they grow up with that. And so yeah, I'm at the stage now where I have a kid that's in like youth group.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm so curious to see how that changed, right, over time. I mean, from the youth group that I remember growing up, I'm just curious if you can maybe just touch on that for a little bit before we sort of get into the topic of conversation here today of like, how have you seen, now that you're in a pastoral role, sort of, I assume you grew up in youth group or had some previous experiences with youth group. Like, what does the youth group look like in the 2020s compared to, when maybe Jared and I went to youth group, which was, in the early
Late
to late
2000s.
aughts. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd say it's probably less crazy. Like when I first started as a youth group, there were some of these like old youth specialty books that had like the games in it and like the clip, like literal clip art where it was like a page of graphics and you would cut it out to make the flyers on the Xerox machines.
Wow.
And so I'd like scan through them because they're from the 80s, and I was like, couldn't play that game. Get arrested if I play that game. All right, can't do that. It would just be like things where it's like, sit on this person's lap, or, do this, or like get changed and do this, or like, just like crazy weird stuff. And so I think, like, as far as that goes, with just the internet, everyone having camera phones and stuff like that, which is added to the whole other aspects of
it is very
culture.
interesting that you should mention that, because as it happens, our youth pastor growing up was published in a book. It was like a book of like stories from various youth pastors. And the story that his was published was basically like a time that he like made a mistake in youth group and like what he learned from it. And the story that he shared is that he came up with this game, and the premise of the game, it was that they had like a big piece of like plexiglass or something, and they put, I think it was like frosting or something on it, and then on both sides of it, and then they picked one boy and one girl to come up, and they were going to compete to see who could like get all the frosting off of the plexiglass, right? Which, in general, it like, obviously they weren't touching her, but it gave the
Right.
optic was that they were basically making out, right? Because they were like licking the screen that they were like, just just
man.
barely separated by this plexiglass. And so he does it at youth group, and everyone's like, "Oh, that was great. It was fun." Then the next morning, he starts getting calls from parents, and he's like, that's when I learned that I should have thought that through a little bit more.
Exactly. And so, yeah, the crazy thing is now, like I tell my youth students and stuff, it's like when we were in youth group, you did something stupid, and it'd be like the 5 people around you would laugh, and maybe they'd, cut jokes for the next couple weeks, and then it'll move on. Now it's like millions of people can see the embarrassing thing that happened or did, or if someone took a video of them like looking, and it's like, for the rest of the time, it's like, oh, Sally and Johnny made out at youth group.
Yeah. Or they put a dance remix behind it, or like, turn it into a meme and try to, make it go viral and things like that. So you mentioned when we were talking here earlier, just sort of in the pre-intro green room here, you mentioned your wife was a teacher, Dan. So I formerly was a high school teacher, which is why I'm, I guess, a little more sensitive about using my real name in things. It reminds me of one incident, and this sort of ties into the broader memescape here. I was, a younger teacher and things like that, and the kids used to like to make memes about me, and I wouldn't always see them. And sometimes they're inappropriate, and that's what would bother me, because I had no context and no way to defend myself. And, I would get called into people's offices to be like, you should know that there's this meme going around about you. And so one time I was shopping at the grocery store, and some kid had their phone on them, and they took a picture of me underneath the sign that was the bakery, and they photoshopped it to say baked and they photoshopped, marijuana in my mouth and gave me red eyes and things like that. Like,
Oh my
it was an
gosh.
obviously dumb joke. I was drug tested for school and things like that, but it was just like, a funny meme to the kids that, unfortunately I had to sit down and have a serious talk with someone to say like, okay, time to report for your random drug test. Like, it's just
Yeah.
a weird, world to think about that, now everyone has a phone. So, what you can do with that is a lot different maybe than how it used to be, that just found that kind of interesting.
Oh, definitely. When memeing goes wrong.
That's right. Yeah, that's probably a whole topic that we can get to. But I wanted to get into how you started making memes, specifically like Christian or youth group focused memes. Can you kind of walk me through how you got started? What made you think
Yeah.
of it?
So, you guys familiar with Imgur?
Yeah.
Like the picture? So, I tried uploading some things on there for fake internet points, and it really wasn't like I didn't go viral, or like I got a couple that were like here or there, and I'm like, oh, that's dumb. And I'd always play like, have you ever, gotten to a point playing a game on your phone and you're like, how many hours have I invested to this
I
dumb
beat Candy
game?
Crush, so yeah.
Yeah, so like I was doing that. I got to a point where I'm like, what? Like and so it was kind of like a game for me. I'm like, at that point, I started in February of 2016. So that was like pretty. It wasn't like ground floor OG like Christian memes, but it was pretty close to the beginning of it. It was still impact font. Like it was still like pretty early days, and I'm like, I'm kind of a witty guy, like, and a lot of these Christian memes that are getting put out are like lame. Like
Yeah.
not all of them. Obviously, like
Poor
I'm friends
theology.
with some of the people. Yeah, well, that's some things didn't change, but so I'm just like, that was my new game. Like collecting followers, collecting likes was my new game, and like I'm like, okay, what do I know most about? Like I'm not a big theology guy. Like I'm not like this, and I probably should have like made it a broader Christian thing because I've kind of like put myself into this. But that's what I knew. Like I was a youth ministry major in college. Like I was a youth pastor at that point for 8 years. I'm like, okay, that's what I know. I know youth group stuff. And so I just started posting that, and it was kind of like a game. Like I told you guys before, like at that time, I didn't tell anybody I was doing it. Like nobody knew that was me. And it was pretty small for a while, but it was just like that serotonin high that, you get from like winning, but it was like, oh, I got, 50 likes on this one. Oh, I want to try and like up that. Oh, I'm going to try and get, I got 100 likes on that. And then I started getting, recognized by, I did some work with some of the bigger youth group or youth ministry sites and things like that. So that was fun. Like got some perks and like free
Sweet.
conference like tickets and things like from just doing stuff with them. But yeah, it really just started out as like a, let me waste time more productively than the way I'm wasting time now. And then, yeah, it just started to grow. And there's been ebbs and flows of like times when I would have a bigger following now if I posted every single day for the last, 6 years, but I didn't. And so there was like times when I didn't post anything for 3 months and stuff. But yeah, that was kind of the beginning of you. It was like something I knew. I was, pretty good at technology to be able to quickly edit, add stuff, pretty like witty.
You got a sweet handle too. You got in before good handles were taken.
Yeah, so no underscores, no like threes instead of e's and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was just like youth group memes. Like I know youth group. I'm a little funny. I'm not obviously not one of the funniest person, but I'm pretty quick witted. I always said to people like my perfect job that I always thought I would be really good at was like, the talk show host has like the sidekick guy. Like
Yeah.
I could be that guy. I couldn't be like the talk show host where I'm like always talking, always interviewing, but I could be the guy that sits on the side and like once a show have like a witty thing that to like interject there. Like that could be me.
No, that's awesome. I can kind of see that. I think that you do have, full host potential. I just want to say that I'm not complimenting you because, I want a shout out or anything, but I think you have good hosting potential. I'm just so curious about, you mentioned this process of you just started making things and just kind of like posting them out there. Most of your content you make yourself, or one of the things that I guess people criticize meme creators now is like they're just resharing things that they saw from somewhere else. And I know some of the bigger accounts that there's a lot of talk about those huge ones with like millions of followers where all they do is repost like the front page of Reddit or something like that. So you are all organic, or like
so
how does that work?
That was another thing kind of coming out of the Imgur world. Where it was like you get bashed for reposting things. It was like OC original content was where, so like coming out of that, I was like, I saw what you're saying, whereas people just like recycling things. And I was like, no, if I'm going to post something, it's going to be something I came up. And in the beginning, like I didn't even follow any other Christian meme pages just because I would get like, the earworm, like of seeing something and then making it, not realizing I make it. And so like I said, now we have, there's like a Christian meme Illuminati that exists with some of the big pages where we're friends, and like we have a group chat and stuff like that where it's like, reposting without like giving credit to something is like, as lame as it's like, it's a no, like you don't do that. And so I just like was from the beginning, I was like, if I create something good or bad, it's going to be me. And so on stories, I'll share stuff, but 99% of anything, I'm almost up to, I think 1,000 posts or something, like have just been things.
So
I've made
all the posts are your own.
There's two recently. We kind of banded together some of pages that are around the same following to we're like, post something from somebody else once a week. And so I think there's like a handful within the last month that I've posted, but everything else has been something I have made, and I'll put that in quotation marks because it's like, it's meme culture. So it's like you see something funny that is like a school meme. It's like, okay, let me change that. So instead of like
word,
teacher, I'll make it youth pastor. Or it's like how you change, it's almost like I listened to your guys' episode about parody things, and it's kind of like that sometimes. Like you take something that's funny and you make it youth group funny. It's like you just change the words. It's the same concept. It's the same picture. Or there'll be times, like the Will Smith slap, the like Super Bowl memes where it's like these huge things that everybody's making it. So it's like, okay, you got to just throw something out there. Like you got to take this format that's everywhere, because some of them have a shelf life of like 24 hours. And then if you're not in it, then it's like, okay, that has passed us by. Like, what's the next thing that's going on? So I try to make all this my stuff and over the years, and for better, for worse.
Wow, that's awesome. I didn't know that. I just kind of assumed that you made some of it and then some of it was curated, like you pulled it from wherever, like took contributions from people or something. Like that's really awesome.
Yeah, it's just me on my phone on the toilet, making memes.
Are you a phone memer? Is that where most of these memes come from? Like you're not a Photoshop or Paint, like it's straight up phone?
Yeah, it's, again, 98% phone. Like there's been a couple times where I have an idea where I'm, I can make my way around Photoshop, that I'll Photoshop something. It's funny you mentioned like you becoming a meme. So I had this idea for a meme. When youth group kids go to rest stops on a trip, like there's always that one kid that gets the super double gulp, like 2 liters of soda. And you're like, don't do that. Come on. We have to drive 6 more hours. I don't want to stop. Don't do that. And he's like, I'm not going to have to go to the bathroom. You're like, yes, you are. Like your bladder cannot hold that much liquid. And so I was looking for a picture of like a teenage kid or whatever. You just Google imaging search, like holding something. So I found this kid holding like a rugby, and it was like a professional shot, and it was like up on their school website. It wasn't like, I didn't scroll through his Facebook. It was like, publicly shared photo. And so I photoshopped, instead of him holding the football, like him holding a huge 7-Eleven cup. And so I post it, it was pretty good Photoshop. You guys can check it out. I posted it, and like this kid, I guess one of his friends, I don't think he was a Christian, but one of his friends followed the page, and he told him. And so this kid's like, "Hey, that's me. Hey, that's me." And he's like, "Hey, yo, you should pay me for that." I was like, I'm not getting paid for this, man. I don't know where you think like the gold mine of like Christian memes, like Instagram is like giving me thousands of dollars for photoshopping this picture. It's like, if you don't like it, like I'll take it down. Absolutely. Like you don't want me to post it, like, yeah, no problem. I'll take it down. But he was like trying to like blackmail me, like to give him money. I was like, either it's gonna stay up or I'll take it down. Like, I don't have any money to give you, kid. Like, this photo I found on the first page of a Google image search. So
there's not the secret Illuminati being sponsored by like Toby Mac or somebody in the background who's just like, here's $1,000, make funny memes about DC Talk or whatever. Yeah,
no, that has not happened yet.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I could literally think of the kid in our youth group who had an incident getting, a super large drink. Yeah. It wasn't 7-Eleven though. It was Sobe. If you recall Sobeys, they had a very brief shelf life, like they're like the Arizona tea type of things. But
had like the lizard on it, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
That's exactly it. Yep.
Speaking of which, do you guys remember the drinks that had like the little bubbles that would float in it? This was like before boba tea, but like they're like elements or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They had like the weird bottles.
They're called like Atomic or something like that. They sold them. So in Cleveland, we have like what's called the Great Lakes Science Center. And so I remember they sold them in the gift shop there because it was like kind of scientific. It was like called like Cosmos or Atoms or like something like that. Oh man, that's really nostalgic because I definitely got that at some time. I remember it being good.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to collect all the bottles or something. But they were like probably like, twice as much money as anything else. Drink just for the novelty factor of it. Yeah, but that kid was like, he's like, come on, man. And then, of course, he wants to like try and pee in the cup that he just drank all of it out of.
The other thing that usually would be is like he's stuck in the middle of a line when you're trying to leave. And it's like... He's like, I've been waiting in this line for 15 minutes. You have to wait for me. I'm next up.
Oh, man. That's awesome. I was going to go into a little bit about memery. So, we grew up a little bit, before the explosion of meme culture and things like that. And I was just curious to pose this question to the group.
Right towards the end of high school for us, because I remember you especially Mike would introduce me to stuff like pools closed and the original Kanye meme, the Taylor Swift.
I'm gonna let you finish.
I'm gonna let you finish.
Yeah, I was just curious, Dan, what was your first meme that you can remember just like experiencing? And it doesn't have to be like a youth group meme or a Christian meme. What was your first meme that you ever remember seeing that, this is what this is?
I think like pre kind of like the Instagram impact font was like, I don't like if you guys early kind of like internet videos, like All Your Base and stuff
that's
like
the one
that.
I was going to say that's the first meme I remember. It's All Your Base belong to us.
Yeah. And so like those like kind of video things that then like people took that and like made that. And that was like pre anyone, people would be calling them memes back then. Like you didn't even know, like that was before anything. But I think just like that early internet culture of stuff like that, Homestar Runner and like
I love Homestar Runner.
Yeah.
Jared is actually featured on a Homestar Runner episode.
I am in a Homestar Runner episode.
What?
Mocked by Strong Bad himself. Yes.
No way.
So the story of this is that in college, my fraternity would host a Halloween party for the campus. It's called the Monster Mash.
Okay.
And every year I would go dressed as some variation of Strong Bad, and almost no one would know who I was. And so the one year I went dressed as Sir Hot Bod Handsome Face, which is the Strong Bad alternate reality from Teen Girl Squad 10, and it's him with a construction hat on and jeans and like Timberlands, and So that's what I had a wrestling mask on, and
Right.
I couldn't get boxing gloves, so I had my friend's lacrosse gloves because they were red, and I just like held them in a fist, and they were big like that, and so I get my friend to take a picture of me dressed up like this as Sir Hotbod Handsome Face, and this was maybe in 2011 or something. And this is during the long hiatus that Homestar Runner took for 4 or 5 years. And so eventually they start doing stuff again, and they're like, we're going to do the Halloween costume rating again. And I was like, now's my chance. I've saved this photo for 4 years.
For
Here
such
we
a
go.
time as this.
So I tweeted at Strong Bad. I tweet at him. I say, here's my picture. Roast me. And the video comes out, and I'm like, I was like, oh, I hope they use my picture. Maybe I'll get mentioned. And I'm watching the video, and it's like he's making fun of all these people that dressed up as him. And it's like, I want to thank you for not being this guy, and I want to thank you for not being this guy. And then it was me, and he's like, come on, man, have you ever even seen me? It looks like you. Basically, he goes into this whole thing, and it's like how I look nothing like him, and I basically picked a costume that was so obscure that Strong Bad himself didn't recognize it until someone else on the internet pointed out to him that I was dressed as Sir Hotbod Handsome Face. And so then he makes, later in that video, he dresses up as me, where he comes out, and they have changed his character model to be dressed up as me. So he's got on the gloves that I have and my wrestling mask and
Oh
his
man,
pants and stuff.
that's
And
awesome.
it is my finest achievement.
That's great. I'll definitely have to look that one up now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, talking about that, I play guitar in the worship band, and almost every Sunday when I play with the certain keyboardist, afterwards we turn to each other and we say, "You did a great job." So that's the intersection of Homestar Runner and my church.
Right.
Happens in that moment at the end of service.
Nice.
It's just so easy to say, like Jorb. I say Jorb all the
You've done a
time, and I don't
great
even know I'm
job.
doing it. Yeah,
Jorb.
well. Anyways,
If anyone wants to see that video, it's the Fan Costumes 2015 video. You'll know me when you see me.
yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll link it in this. We'll link it in the show notes. So I know Jared wants everyone to see it. So leave a comment and tell him you heard it on the podcast. So I wanted to get into the second phase here of this episode, and obviously a meme episode. We want to make sure that we actually get some memes in here. And so, Dan, this may be a surprise to you, maybe not, but we have curated some memes that we think are pretty good. We've also created some memes ourselves. And so we're looking for an expert memeologist, having some background in youth group and having some background as a pastor. We hope you can appreciate those or give us feedback on our memery so we can get better and be part of the Cool Kids Club now with what's going on.
Absolutely.
So here's how this is going to work. I'm going to share my screen, and we will solicit reactions and reviews. You can rate it under any scale that you want. It can be thumbs up, thumbs down, or you can rate it 1 to 5 youth groups out of 5 stars, I guess. I'm trying to think of something funny that you could rate it out of.
1 to 5 kids late for the church van buying a big gulp out of 5.
Something like that. Anyways, thumbs up, thumbs down. We'll comment on them, and we'll try to explain maybe why we picked them or the background of them, if that's okay. So I'm going to flip over to sharing my screen. So I know the audience can't see me, but I will be sharing my screen.
I'll give a brief description of them for anyone listening along, and then we'll post them on the Instagram too for anyone that wants to go see them.
That's always the best part about internet culture, is trying to bring it into IRL, bring it into real life, like things that you've seen, and just trying to explain it and how hard that is. Like I was listening to one of yours.
It's funny.
And I heard that Jared, you're a GIF guy.
Yeah.
When it's clearly GIF.
When you create the format, I think
that's not how things work.
Yes,
no, that's not how things work. It's not a giraffic. It's a graphic. interchange format. So you can't just like create something. Like I can't create, a thing and then tell everybody to call it that. And then
But like,
culture is going to decide what it's called.
if you had a child and you named them something that was a weird spelling of a name, and then everyone pronounces it wrong, you're just going to let them pronounce it wrong and say, "Oh, that's fine. That's how you want to pronounce it."
No, that happens all the time though. Like kids that have names and then they get nicknames. That is like easier to say and it makes more sense.
I think GIF is better because
it's a peanut butter.
Because it describes what's happening. Right, it's a moving picture. It's something is jiffy. It's quick. It's moving. That's why I like GIF better.
I've literally never heard that argument before, Jared. I mean, it kind of makes sense.
Jiffy or GIFs. Jiffy or GIFs, man.
I guess, though, the one that I was going to bring up, and I wasn't going to correct you, Dan, because you're our guest, but Imgur, is that really how you say it? Like, I thought it was
some people
Imager.
call it Imager. That's one of the things, too. And so if you choose to call it that, that's fine.
Yeah, this is a judgment-free zone like Planet Fitness. I was just curious because it's one of those things, again, you know it to see it. It's IMGUR, but like, is it Imgur? Is it Imager?
Yeah.
Is it like...
That's a very similar debate that people have to the GIF.
Yeah, I just wish they would tell us, pick a side.
Real quick before we get into the memes, since you've brought it up earlier, and I have frequently asked guests on this podcast, is Kanye West a Christian artist? And you mentioned that is the very topic of one of your podcast episodes. So what's the verdict? Yes or no?
I mean, that's a bigger can of worms there, Jared. It's like you have the people that are like, we're Christians and we're in a band. We're not a Christian band. And it's like harder now that there's not Christian bookstores because that was the line. It was like if your CD got sold at the Christian bookstore, then it's a Christian band.
That's fair.
It was funny. I had this time when I was in marching band where one of my instructors, and he was like, "What kind of music are you into?" And I was like, I listen to some Christian music. And he's like, "Oh, so like Creed?" I was like, no.
The reason that question got brought up originally is that when I was like in 8th grade, we had to do like a public speaking like thing for my English class, and it was like a persuasive speech. And my speech, I was like, I'm going to give my speech on Christian music and like why it's cool. And so I give this speech and I wear my 1,000-foot crutch shirt and nice. I show the music video for Rock Fist, and I was like, pretty cool, right? It's just like regular rock music. And then a bunch of people asked me, like, is Kanye West a Christian because of Jesus Walks?
Jesus Walks, right?
Yeah, they all wanted to know if Jesus Walks was a Christian song. And I was like, I think he swears a ton in it. So my initial thought is no. But
I totally got the wrong impression from that song. I thought it was about Kanye comparing himself to Jesus, which I guess it really isn't, but then later he did. So I guess...
Well, the video, he's being crucified, you know.
At the time, all I knew Kanye West about it was that he was like really like cocky and proud of himself. So I don't even know if I had heard this song, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say it's not. So, but...
Yeah, so I think with the whole Christian artist thing, I'm in a different place. And if you listen to the Gospel According to Kanye, that'll be dropping. I explain this a little bit more, but I used to think of myself as a Christian and like felt like I was like the guardian of morality. Like as a Christian, it was like it was my job to protect the holiness of church. Like I remember specifically being young.
I feel that, yes.
Being younger and seeing like a guy that had just prayed at the altar rail, like smoking a cigarette in the parking lot, and it'd be like, he's not a real Christian. He's smoking a cigarette. Or like that whole thing, like, oh, that person cursed before. They're not a real Christian. And so that idea of that and just being, more, mature, understanding, diving into the grace message that it is Jesus Christ, I am much less, feel like that is my duty. Like God doesn't need to protect himself. And we see that in the Bible, where it's like they're healing in my name. Like
Yeah.
why are you going to stop them? Like, they're doing good works and they're doing it and attributing it to me, like saying it's being done in my name. Like, absolutely let them do that, even if it doesn't look like the way that we feel like it should look like. And so it's very easy to want to judge Kanye West or Justin Bieber and these people that are like, come out and they seem like, oh, are they flash in the pan Christians and stuff like that? But like, that's not my job. It's like not my job to judge this person's heart. And I don't want it to be my job. That is a burden that I do not want to bear. And so I think it's easy for Christians to want to say like, oh, this or that. But like, I don't know the numbers, but there has to be tons of people that have had real experiences with Christ because of Kanye West.
Yeah.
Because of the album he put out, because of the videos, because of the things. And the podcast we do about him is framed around the documentary that came out on Netflix. And you see some of these interviews with him, and if you just clipped those parts, you knew nothing else about this guy, there is no way you could judge his faith and say it's not real.
Yeah.
Like those, you could cut those things, and they're probably things I've said in my sermons and stuff, just about needing God, about it not being about me, like things like that, and it's hard in the everything else that is surrounding him and has surrounded him to want to make that judgment of that. But that's not my place.
Yeah.
And
That's really
I think it's funny though, like when we grew up, there was always those airs about certain bands where it was like, did you hear Evanescence is a Christian band?
Yes.
It's like,
I was just about to bring that up. Sorry. So Evanescence, I'm sure maybe as you know, they like very famously were not actually a Christian band. And so they were sold in like family Christian bookstores. And the story, as I remember it, the guitarist basically like had an interview with someone and he's like, what the F are we doing in Christian bookstores? We're not an effing Christian band, which is like enough like, oh, hey, you know what? They had some lyrics that were kind of spiritual or whatever. It was like, hold on. How did everybody mix this up? We like literally did not play it on this. But, it just was really interesting, right? That's like, that happened time and time again. I don't think Kanye was sold in the Christian bookstores, but you bring up a really smart point, which was, that was my line. So Evanescence was a Christian band until they weren't, when they yanked him from family Christian. So
Katy Perry had a Christian album, her first album.
Oh yeah, she performed at our college before she was Katy Perry, when she was Katie Hudson, I think was her name.
Yeah, she has a music video.
She dated Matt Thiessen from Reliant K.
Yeah, or at least they were in a music video together. I'm not going to comment on that one, but
I'm pretty sure they dated. I think it's on their Wikipedia page, so it's definitely true.
Okay.
I mean, now it's on this podcast, so
yeah. Please don't sue me for libel or slander. We take no comments from any record labels about this. Anyways, getting back into the meme review. So I thought I was going to be able to share my screen, but unfortunately I'm not able to switch cameras. So unfortunately I'm going to have to do the old way and post this in chat. So let me know if you can see this first meme I posted in chat here, everyone. And if that doesn't work, I'll try to find another way as best I can.
Okay.
I
can see
got
it.
Message come through with everyone. Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. So
you
this is
done
our
messed
first meme.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah, so what the picture is a picture of Aaron in front of like the golden calf, and he's like got his arms out like, hey, check this out. And then under it is the Key and Peele sketch, and it says, you done messed up, Ron.
Yeah. And
I
so
love
this is
that
kind of
sketch.
obviously it's like all timer. The thing I like about this is the nuance. Like and that's the beauty of memes and meme culture, is like it's a flat image, but there's like so much background that you have to get to like know. Like if you've ever seen the picture or like the meme where it's like a wife is asking the husband's like, why are you laughing, when he's looking at his phone? And it's like, it would take me 15 minutes to go through the nuance of like why this is funny.
Yes.
Like for this one, like you have to be in that demographic that, we're obviously in, that would know who this person standing next to a golden calf is, know what that story is, and then know this Key and Peele sketch, and like be able to put them together in an instant while you're, flipping through your iPhone to be able to say that's funny.
Yeah, I think it's niche. I think that's like an amazing sketch. I think that even people who don't know Key and Peele sort of know that sketch almost because of those memes. And it's
And
just
if your name's Aaron, I'm sure you are very aware of that sketch.
Yeah, that's a good point. I feel for all the Aarons out there who not only have to be compared to Bible characters, but now memes. So, so Dan, how would you rate this one? This was our first one. I think that you commented on a few good things. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds positive.
Yeah, so this is like early meme setup. So my criticisms of it, no one can see this, so whatever. Both pictures are blurry, and the impact font on the bottom is like very 2017.
That is our fault, the blurriness, because I've picked this one and found it, sent it to Mike, and then Mike it's probably been copied multiple times. That's why it looks blurry.
Yeah, so if you scroll most meme pages now, like no one's using the big block font anymore.
Okay.
It's that part of it is dated, but I mean the joke itself is obviously,
I'm going to get
Very
absolutely
funny.
roasted later when you see the ones that I made then, because they're all that font.
This does not bode well for our memes that we've created, unfortunately.
But the content, I feel strongly about my content.
I'll give you a pat. Is there like a watermark made with Meme-matic on the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right. Just to prepare myself for what.
Okay.
I mean, I made these. I mean, to be fair, I made like 8 of these things in like 20 minutes. Okay, so like I was really pumping them out.
Yeah, that's good. And that was going back to like me trying to create, and so that was some of the like voids that I had where I just didn't post anything, because art people that are artists, like it comes in waves. Like there'll be a moment of inspiration where I'll be like, boom, like rattle off like 6 ideas, and then there'll be times where it's like I don't want to just post something to post something. Like if it's not even a little bit funny, or at least like gonna hit somewhere, then it's like I don't want to just do it to do it. But even talking about the evolution of meme culture is like the way the algorithms and everything goes now. It's like they're even moving away from picture memes at all. Like if you follow, like everything is reels, everything is TikToks, everything is video and stuff like that. Where it's like the heyday of slapping the impact font on top of something is like is even moving away from there. So it's like now it's the whole like recycling jokes, which is every comedic venture is recycling things in different concepts.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, those jokes that I had that were funny before, pictures of like, how can I make a reel of it? Like, how can I make me doing it? So like, if you were to make this now, you would want to get like a video clip of Aaron or this picture blown up with either you saying the clip of it over top of it, or inserting the clip from Key and Peele into it to actually have that.
Interesting.
But
I never really thought of it that way. Jared and I, we do have an open challenge with someone for a dance-off battle. We have not made a TikTok yet. We have made 0 reels in our lifetime. So I may have to revisit and ask for some help to win this dance-off challenge that we have open.
We got an inside man now.
Yeah. We'll pick your brain about that. But I want to get back to the rating. So that's really good feedback. But how would you rate this one?
So we'll go 1 to 5. I'll give this a 3.
Okay.
3? Okay.
Cool.
So I set myself up that things could get better than this and things can get worse than this.
Okay.
Hopefully they're going to get better. Hopefully.
Yeah.
I feel very proud about the last meme that I made. So I'm hoping that it does it. I'm hoping it goes over well.
Well, I mean, we're behind the scenes. We're potting pretty late here, so we might get the sleepy ha-has and everything would be funny at that point.
But if it's bad, don't hold back. Roast me. Drag me.
I'll take the hint about the sleepy ha-has and get a move on with this episode here. So that one was Jared's pick. Here is my pick for this one. So hopefully you can see this one. So Jared, you can go ahead and explain this one again. I think you did a good job.
So what it is it appears to be Hugh Jackman, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Ryan Reynolds. And Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal are laughing and having a good time. and Ryan Reynolds looks to be very unimpressed and has no emotion on his face. And it says Hugh Jackman says my mom, and Jake Gyllenhaal says literally anyone, and Ryan Reynolds says me trying to leave after church.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, this was very true for me. So my families were talkers. It wasn't just my mom; it was my dad too. And usually when one parent said it was time to go, it was the other parent's turn to get into a conversation. And then I ended up getting in conversations, and like some of my best friends from youth group were the people whose parents were talking to my parents after church, right?
That's why you're friends with a pastor's kid.
Exactly, right. That's how if you want to know how you get to know pastors' kids, it's like you stay after church while everyone is cleaning up. And, we probably had more quality time and discussions in the hour post church than we did almost any other time hanging out. So that kind of hit home to me personally. That's why I like this one. I think Ryan Reynolds' expression is pretty funny in this one, but I'm curious to your thoughts as the expert here, Dan, on this particular meme.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing that I love about that I wasn't expecting starting youth group memes is the community that is built. Like, even though you don't know, like I see some of the same people, post or comment or have DM'd me and stuff like that. But more so that just the camaraderie that you guys talk about in your podcast, where we've had these shared experiences that we didn't know we were having. Like, that we can talk about, joke about, you can podcast about, we can post memes about. And this is like a pretty, like, I have a couple memes that is like the same trope of like, waiting for your mom around the thing, but it like resonates because there's so many people that had this. So, and like some of the like crazy things I post about, like crazy games. So like drinking soda out of a sock, like, I thought that was just a gross thing that someone in my youth group thought of, that they were sick. But like, no, this is like a thing that happened in youth groups across the country. Like people drinking soda through sock, people, drinking blended up Happy Meals. Like these like gross things or like funny things or like weird things or these cultural things where it's like we can have this online community with people we've never met before because we have these shared experiences around youth group culture, around church culture. And so, yeah, absolutely. This is, funny, perfect display of this, use of this, meme setup. I give this a 4. This is good.
Okay.
Nice.
Cool. Very good. Jared, I am beating you officially by one point.
All
so
right.
far. So.
But I have a lot more. I mean, I have like half of these are mine that I made. So I could, even if I get all ones, I think I could beat you.
Yeah.
I will have to do aggregate.
Yeah. I'm trying to go back and forth with mine and Jared. So just to keep this fair.
Points per meme.
Yep.
Average.
All right. This next one comes from Jared. So here we go.
These are still the ones you found, right?
These are not ones that I made. Okay. So what it is it's a picture of a guy holding up an entire pizza, and then he has 2 liters of pop next to him and like a bowl of chips, and it says, "When your body is a temple, but you want to make it a mega church."
Yeah, this is amazing. And Deuteronomy memes, PD and Shama, they're awesome. Like if you're listening to this and you're not following Shama, you need to pause this and go do that. And then
are they part of the Illuminati?
What he's talking about is the watermark on it.
Oh yeah, so these are the people that made this meme.
Yes.
I'm just sorry. Yep. Again, you guys can't see this, and so, but yeah, this is a 5. This is an amazing meme.
Yes.
It's funny. Like this is kind of the same meme format, where your body's a temple, you want to make it a mega church. You could also put the caption on it where it's like all the like spread of gross foods, and then you're like praying, Lord bless this food to our bodies. When you're about to like pound like $50 worth of Taco Bell, and it's like, Lord bless this food to our bodies. But
the hands that prepared it.
Yeah. So the pizza and pop thing also just really also to me speaks at a deeper level to this meme, because that's pretty much the core youth group food, which was pizza and pop. We call it pop in Ohio. I don't know if you call it pop in where
No,
you're from.
it's just soda.
Yeah, sorry. Well, anyways, the point being, my dad was a small group leader, and he he would usually order pizza and things like that for the kids, and it was a big hit, and he would always try to like give people responsibility by like having them be the ones to call and order the pizza and things like that. And I just remember people having it to be such a big deal that like they got to call the pizza shop and order the pizza, where like their parents maybe wouldn't let them call and order the pizza. So it's just like small things like that that are pretty funny. But yeah, I ate so much Domino's and Little Caesars and things like that. Just I can't have it anymore. I'm not a fan of it now, but I probably had 8 years worth to kind of tide me over every week on Thursday. So,
but that's all. You said your dad did that.
Yeah,
yeah. That's an amazing small group thing.
Mm-hmm.
What he did, and that's like some of the intentional stuff that I have to like try and make myself do, because that doesn't come natural to me.
Mm-hmm.
But just that idea of like, and I have 4 daughters, like, so that idea of having somebody do something, even though it took longer for your dad to have this, kid call the pizza place. It might have got messed up. He might have screwed it up, but that was a learning lifetime experience for that person.
Yeah.
That
we had another youth sponsor. His name was Ron, and the thing that he would always do is he always had Mountain Dew, like all the time, like in his trunk, just like on him. And he would come up to kids and like if they were like, feeling left out or like, so he'd be like, "You want to do?" And he'd give them a Mountain Dew.
In a different context, that could be.
Yeah.
Hey kid, you want to do? It's in my trunk. No, it's in further. Keep going. Keep reaching for it.
Hey, wait a second.
Yeah.
That is a good point. I guess maybe it was a different time, or maybe he just said it in such a funny way.
It was always like it was not like he was like at a youth group event. He wasn't just like doing it like out of nowhere.
Pulls around the corner. You're walking off the bus stop.
Yeah.
Hey, Jared, you look a little down.
You want to do?
Yeah, it's like a homemade moonshine like bootlegger is raiding in his car. It's like
I made it in my bathtub.
Yeah, it's due. Now, respect to Ron, I was dude several times. It's kind of it reminds me of
a rite of passage. It was a rite of passage in our youth group.
It was kind of like if you've heard of icing. I don't know if that's a thing where you're from, where like
yes,
like a speaker comes up and it's the Smirnoff Ice or whatever, and you have to drink it. It was kind of like that. I don't know if it was inspired by that or not, but
well, to be clear, he wasn't like forcing these kids to drink.
No,
it.
That's true. That's true.
He wasn't like, "Hey, get down and drink this Mountain Dew right now, shotgun this Mountain Dew."
Hey, Jared, you still got a little left in that bottle.
Oh,
come on.
I would never.
There is one kid in our youth group who would always shake up the pop, and so he would go and find the bottles, and it was just funny to him to go and shake up everything before we would open it, and then of course it would just be a disaster and get everything sticky. And that kid, I'm not going to say his name, but
we know who it is.
they know who they are.
Kids that went to your youth group, they know who that kid is.
100%. The same kid who ate all the M&Ms out of the trail mix. You know what I mean? It's
that
like
kid. I had a kid in elementary school. Did you guys ever play wall ball?
Yeah.
You throw like the tennis ball against the side because we didn't have playgrounds. We had blacktop,
Yeah.
And so we had this one kid. I still remember his name. There's no chance he would listen to this, but I won't say his name.
Yeah.
We used to call it Suey or suicide. I don't know if they call that there or not. But he would take the ball and throw it on the roof. And be like that was his thing. It was like, dude, nobody likes that. You can't play now. We have one tennis ball for 40 minutes, and you just threw it on the roof.
Yeah, that's crazy. What makes a kid do that? I have no idea. I don't even want to get into the psychology of it, but that's just like, I don't know.
Same kid. He, during lunch, we used to have, I don't know what elementary schools would do. I don't know if they still do this, but there would be like trash cans, and then there'd be the food trash can. You guys have the food trash can where you scrape all the food?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it makes me want to throw up just thinking about it. But during the O.J. Simpson trial, he would, for weeks, like every day, he'd buy an orange juice, he'd open it up, he'd pour it into the trash thing, and he'd go, "Free the juice!" and he would just like dump the entire carton of orange juice. Same kid that would throw the ball on the roof. It was like
He was dedicated to that bit.
Yeah, he was like looking back on it. It's like I appreciate it now. Being a meme guy, like I appreciate the commitment to the bit, but it was like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. See, he could have made a reel and reached 1 million people.
Oh, absolutely!
But,
now that would have gone viral.
Yeah,
but then it was just like the weird kid that like you were annoyed at.
All right. So the next meme we have is a little more, getting into some more theological topics here with our memes. So this one is my pick, and it is posted in the channel, meme number 4. And so, Jared, you have 8 points right now.
What it is the top. It's 2 pictures. The top is like a news article, and it's a picture of the Pope, and it says the title of the article says, "If you can't go to confession, take your sorrow directly to God," the Pope says. And then
this was during COVID, I think, this article.
Yeah.
So it was like people couldn't go out to confession because of quarantine and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then under it is a picture from the office of Jim and Michael Scott. And Michael Scott has like a little Pope kind of hat on, and Michael Scott has the Martin Luther like black hat on. And it says, "Wow, that's good. I can't believe no one's ever thought of that."
Yeah. This is amazing. Yeah, 5 out of 5. This is funny. Okay. This is good.
Are you an Office fan, Dan? And can you tell me the context of the original saying between Jim?
Oh man, my wife and I have watched through it 3 times, but the last time was like 4 years ago.
Okay,
so it's
a holiday party. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like Christmas party. This is the one where. Is this the episode where it's like a lame party and then Michael just goes out and buys like handles of alcohol?
Yeah.
And like brings it.
It's the Moroccan Christmas party, if you remember that one.
Right. So yeah. No,
that's good.
I don't know the context exactly of that line though. No, I'm sorry. I feel ashamed.
No problem. Jared told me he's never seen The Office, so that was a shocking fact to me as we were preparing for this episode.
I've tried to watch it multiple times. It never struck with me. I didn't watch it when it was on, and then I tried to watch it afterwards. I mean, I
Parks and Rec is better.
Yes, I like Parks and Rec better for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
But the original context is they mix orange juice and vodka, and it's like, wow,
okay,
like, that's like the most obvious combination ever. It's like, wow, can't believe no one's ever thought of this. And he gives it a dumb name like orange juice vodka teeny or something stupid. But that's the original context. So I thought that was funny because, everyone loves Office memes. And like, I feel like the small touches here with Martin Luther, you can see like the
hat. Yeah, the hat is a good one.
The hat, that it's like immediately obvious who that is if you're kind of like in the know. And, I also grew up Catholic. I'm no longer Catholic, but like, it is kind of, I guess, funny to see that in meme format because, that was like, if I saw this maybe when I was in Catholic school, it would not have made sense to me, I guess. Right. But now it does. And so I thought that this one was pretty funny. So cool. So a 5. So Jared, I am 2 ahead of you. And now we're going to get into some of the original memes. And so,
I'm excited.
This is Jared's original meme.
I think I made 8 of them. Are you going to show all 8 or are you just we can go faster. We can pick this up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm going to choose what I perceive to be the best ones, if that's okay. So that way.
So put me in your mind space, Jared. Like, were you just looking for pictures? Did you have an idea first?
My thought, Mike and I were trying to pick some memes to show you, and I wasn't finding a ton that I liked, and I was like, I'll just make some.
You should have looked on at Youth Group Memes.
Well, see, I didn't want to throw them, your own stuff back at you.
5 out of 5. All 5 out of 5.
Oh yeah, I could have gamed the system here.
All right. So Jared, I'm pretty sure this is yours. If it's not, I'm really sorry to the original creator, but there's no watermark. So it's an image flip one. I assumed all the image flip ones were you. Here.
Yeah, let's see which one this is. All right, okay. So this is a picture of it's a picture of Moses coming back down from Mount Sinai after he has received the 10 Commandments and spoken directly to God. And in the picture, his face is glowing, and you can't even see it. It's just light coming out of it. And the text says, "Me, the morning after my wedding night." And so some background for this story for anyone that doesn't know. When Moses is up on Mount Sinai, he's like,
"You're going to give the background of your wedding."
No.
Oh no!
No, Moses kind of basically says to God, like, "Hey, let me see you," and God's like, "You'll die." And so he says, "But if you go hide in this crack over in the mountain, I'll walk past, and then you can look at my backside." And then he does that, and Moses sees God's back, and he comes down from the mountain, and his face is literally glowing. And he scares everyone, and he has to wear a veil over his face because the thing he has seen is so glorious.
Yeah. And then he keeps wearing the veil because it starts to fade, and he doesn't want people to know that it's fading.
Yes.
Which we can all relate to. Like, yeah, this is funny. I don't know, shout out to Jared's wife, I guess. Are you married?
Yeah.
Okay.
My wife's name is Jessica.
All right, Jessica. All right. If you're listening. I'll give this a 4 out of 5.
It's pretty good.
It's funny. It's very this probably not. No, I guess it would
too much of a deep cut.
No, yeah. For some people, like Christian, like I think you could pick up on it's like you're glowing either way.
Yeah.
Like even if they don't get that it's Moses, you're coming down from the mountain and stuff. But Christian memes, are big on the wedding night jokes, throwing them out there. So this would hit.
Sweet.
All right, sweet.
All right, Jared, I'm choosing this next one. This is, again, looking for a pastor's perspective on this one as to, this is pretty niche, I think, but.
Yeah, so it's the Drake meme. And so the top one, the one that he's shunning, it says NIV 2011, and then the one that he's like pointing to is NIV 1984, which are the translation. The NIV translation was the 84 translation, then it got updated in 2011, and then that's the one that is currently being used. I remember our church had a whole debate. I was an intern that summer when they came out with the new translation of were they going to keep it? And the ideas discussed were, one was buy as many 1984 NIV translation Bibles as possible and hoard them. Switch to the new translation or switch to the ESV. And they decided to switch to the ESV.
That's probably the right move. Yeah, but the main difference was like pronouns, right?
Yeah.
That they were changing and updating. This is I mean, I feel like this is very you're like narrowing down on the people that you want to understand things. Yeah. Like you get to the point where it's like, let's start out with like all, Christian things, and we're getting into like Martin Luther, Catholicism, and now we're into translations of the NIV. So, the levels of this is that you would have to, number one, know that there's different translations and one is preferred over the other. And number two, like care that the one is preferred over the other.
There's a very narrow appeal.
Yeah. Like, right. So it's like people like, and even in Christian cultures, like, to my church and stuff, not that they don't know, but I always, when I'm reading from a Bible, like I always try to give the 2-minute spiel of like, this is why my words I'm saying might be different than yours. Cause we don't have pew Bibles. Like people either bring their own or don't. So I usually give the spiel of like, it was written in Hebrew, written in Greek. That's why some of the words it's hard to translate. So I'll give this a 2, partially just cause it's like
too narrow,
man. And you'd have to like narrow, but even when you got it, you would have to like care that you'd have to be like a 1984 stan to be like, okay, I care about this.
What percentage of your 40,000 followers would think that that's funny? Just like rough estimate, like 0.1%.
It's gotta be very low.
Like 20 people,
like
low. 100 people.
Well, that's the hard part to say. Is like I could literally post, and like some meme pages that were friends, like they do ads and stuff where they'll like post like random things that they're getting paid for. So it's like respect, but it's like you could post anything with 40,000 followers, and you're gonna get a few hundred likes.
People will just they'll just see it's from you and they'll like it anyway.
Yeah, they're just scrolling and tapping. Like I don't know what they're doing. So, and that's the thing with internet comedy anyway. It's like, what does anybody think is funny? Like most of the time, like there's some times when we do laugh like audibly, but most of the other time it's just like, huh, or like some air comes out of our nose and it's like, like that's funny. And so, but yeah, I would say, especially like as youth group memes, like we have the people that. A huge section that are youth group leaders, but then we also have a section that is, kids that are in youth group. And so I don't think anybody,
none of them are going to,
no one under the age of probably 25 are really going to know.
You can't even get the 84 translation. I don't think anymore, even online. It's all 2011.
Just those couple churches that hoarded them all.
Our church is rolling in 84 NIVs.
Somewhere in the church basement that's just under lock and key, stacked like gold bricks, just like a Scrooge McDuck's vault of Bibles.
The end of Indiana Jones is in that warehouse. Like,
yeah. All right, we have time for one more. Jared, if you want to message me sort of your best one to pick here.
You have to do my Boy Meets World one because that's the one I was most proud of.
Okay. All right.
Dave's not here. That was his favorite show growing up.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Maybe if it's good enough, maybe you'll have to pass it on to him.
Okay.
All right, this is fresh content here, and let me upload this here. 1 second, and I'll put it
Mike,
in
I was
chat.
hoping you would do one of my Storytime Jesus ones because I thought I was pretty proud of those ones.
Yeah. Would you like me to? Do we have time for two? Are you good on time? Okay.
All right, sure. Sweet. Yeah, do the one from that references John 1 at the bottom.
Got it. All right. You can explain this and why this is funny to you, Jared, as well. Just like your history of.
That's always a good first part. Is explain why this is funny. Explain to me why this
Mike,
joke is funny.
You're not setting me up for success.
No,
here, Mike.
No, I'm just saying that there's some background history to this. Like you mentioned, you and your friends would make memes with this format. Like
this format it's a picture of Jesus like with a crowd, and he appears to be telling them a story. And my friend and I would take this format, and we would take stories or verses from the Bible, and the format is basically just you summarize something that happens in the Bible in a very like casual way. And so it's Jesus, and it says, so then Andrew comes up to me and he says, "This is my brother Simon." And I go, "That name sucks. I'm just going to call you Peter." And then it says John 1:40-42.
Now there's that impact font again, right?
Yeah.
Like we know that's a no-no. So hindsight being 2020.
No. Reading that in my head, that's funny. It's funny. You the way you worded it, and that's what a lot of the things are, is like wording of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way you worded it is funny. It says, and I go, "That name sucks. I'm gonna call you Peter." Like, not that we could see Jesus saying that, but I mean, I guess that factors in. So that idea, and that's the thing of like, the different names and of people. I always get mad like the Paul and Saul thing.
Yeah.
How many sermons have been made about that when it was like he was always called Paul, he was always called Saul. Like those are just different translations of his name. Like depends where he was, if they're speaking Greek or but it's like how many sermons have been like, whatever you were, you're a Saul now, but Jesus is gonna come and make you into Paul. It's like that's not right. That's not how language works. But no, good. 4 out of 5. That Jared, that's
sweet.
Funny.
All right, so yeah, show him the Boy Meets World one. This is the one I thought I was most proud of.
All right, so you're hyping this one up.
Yeah, this is the one I thought was the best.
He's trying to get that 5. He's really desperate for it.
So this is an image from Boy Meets World, and in it's Corey and Topanga, and the Corey is triumphantly raising his hands, and he says, "I have seen the promised land," and over that I have superimposed the name Joshua and Caleb. And then in the second picture, it's Topanga, and she says, "The promised land." And then what she is saying is, "I showed him my milk and honey." And so the original context of this is that it says Corey comes into this room and yells, "I've seen the promised land," and Topanga says, "I showed him my butt." So that's the original
This was
context.
on Boy Meets World.
Yes,
this was like the college years.
Yes, this is when they were in college. This is right before they got married.
Again, these are you're getting like these narrow, like, but I appreciate it because like people read your Bible and then you can laugh at these memes. Like, go do
so
your
for anyone that
homework
doesn't
and come
know,
back.
Joshua and Caleb were part of the spies that Moses sent out to like scout the promised land, and they come back and all the other spies are like, "It's too dangerous," and Joshua and Caleb are like, "It's flowing with milk and honey, we have to go."
Yeah, no, that's funny. And this is the one where you don't need to have ever seen this episode of Boy Meets World for it to like be funny if you know the context of what it
the
is.
Bible story.
Yeah.
I think the expressions are pretty funny. The thing that I'm looking at this now, when I saw it, I realized how much that character looks like Peyton Manning, just a little bit younger. That's just what I thought of. I don't know. He just looks like a Manning. I thought that was interesting. I don't know. Maybe
the youngest Manning brother, Corey Manning.
Right.
Yeah. Good. No. Yeah.
Does he earn the 5 though? Dan, that's the question.
We'll go 4.5.
What if I change the font?
We'll be getting there. No. If you change the font, I said that weird. If you change the font, most Christian pages would do that. You could post that on pages, and you'd get likes for that. Absolutely
awesome. That's what Jared. How do you feel? I mean, I think that's a
pretty
raving
good
review
for 20 minutes worth of work, and I got
like did you have these ideas? Were you just scrolling through like templates?
Yeah, so I went through some popular meme templates and made it up. Another one Mike didn't show was the distracted girlfriend meme, and it's the girlfriend he's with says NIV and the other girl says ESV. And then there was another Storytime Jesus one, which I can read the text of that to you if you want real quick. I think that one was from
Mark.
It's from Mark. Okay. Oh yeah. So it's about the story of Jesus calming the storm, and let me see. Yeah. So it says, "So I'm just taking a nap, and my bros come and wake me up, and they're like, 'Don't you care? We're gonna die.' So then I got to get up and go yell at the storm to chill out, just because these dinguses have no faith." Mark 4:35-41.
No, those are that template. Like, if you acted that out, and made that a series, like those would pop for like reels. Like, just your delivery and the wording of it is like funny. Like,
Mike, we got to get on that TikTok. We could be getting tens of views.
Yeah, just hanging out at being like that Storytime Jesus, like you're saying, like doing a series of those that would.
Another one. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's funny in the picture form, but it's like as the algorithm, all the money is getting pushed towards video original content, and like how it keeps changing. But that's where like the reach, and that's the crazy thing. Like, you think, oh, you got 40,000 followers, like 40,000 people are going to see everything you post, and it's like, no, absolutely not. And it's like that's the weird part of it too, is like some things that pop, and you're like, that was dumb. Like, that was one of those things. I just changed a word from a other meme. And it's like other ones where it's like, I thought it was super funny. I spent this time on Photoshop, and it's like a dud. Yeah. And it's like, or you like post things at different times. There's like all this crazy thing. And then sometimes it'll just be like 90% of the people that saw this video or saw this thing didn't follow you. It was just the, algorithm gods like decided everybody needs to see this. And sometimes it just doesn't make any sense, but
the other two I had, I'll give a quick description. It's the Fairly Odd Parents, like here's where I'd put my trophy template, and it says King David, and it says this is where I'd put my temple if I was allowed to build one.
Yeah,
and then the other one is it's like the guy like leaning down in front of a grave and giving the peace sign.
Right.
And and on the grave it says Jesus of Nazareth, and then over the guy it just says just some gardener on Sunday morning.
I feel like that was pretty common in Easter.
Yeah, that one is a little bit more of a thinker, I guess. Mary thinks that Jesus is a gardener. For anyone, you know that, but for anyone that's listening,
yeah, and that's like one of the most popular, like especially Easter time, is that template with Jesus being labeled on both of the things.
Yeah,
where it's like obviously is
I tried to mix it up a little.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Dan, thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight. I really appreciate you taking the time. I think that your reviews were really good. I'm going to have to take that feedback back and, maybe see if we can re-architect some of these things.
Yeah. Take it in the lab, come out, start,
change our font.
Yeah. Number one, start bumping those,
What's the best font now?
It's up to you. My go-to font, let me pull it up, is like DIN condensed.
Okay.
That I use, and it's condensed, so then that makes it easier to fit more words, like in a thing, and it kind of
makes sense.
It looks okay, and then it gives, like, if you look at all my memes, it's DIN condensed bold. They all look like similar, so it's like then you got to throw the watermark on there because then people are like, it's funny how people get around that too, like and some people say that hurts the algorithm, like if you watermark things, but it's just like you'll see people that like deliberately will like chop a picture in half so that it doesn't have the thing on it, or put their own watermark on it. It's like, I don't really care. I always tell people, there's like, share it away. Like, I don't even care like if you tag me most of the time. But it's like, if you're gonna take something which is like that I didn't fully create because I'm pulling pictures and stuff, but like take something I took time and I put my watermark, and you're going to take that time and put something over top of it, then it's like, you're obviously doing that on purpose to like make it seem like it's the joke you created or things like that. But I usually don't get too into that because it's like, I'm pulling pictures off the internet anyway, and it's like copyright laws and stuff like that. I don't know how some of these people get away with it, that they merchandise stuff, or like the what do you mean, like games and stuff. Like, I don't know how people monetize these things that aren't their pictures.
Right. You're basically the Beastie Boys of memes, right? Just the line is pretty blurry. Yeah.
Paul's Boutique.
Right. The Paul's Boutiques of meme accounts. But that's awesome. I have a newfound respect for these meme pages and things like that. I'm really going to think twice before I crop something out or, reshare something.
It was you the whole time. You were the one that was doing it.
No, that's awesome. But for real, if people wanted to, see more memes, listen to your podcast, would you be able to tell us where we can find you? I'll put them in the show notes, and just to make sure everybody knows, we said it at the beginning, but I just want to make sure if you have anything to plug, you shouted out a couple other meme accounts and, Illuminati members, if you wanted to shout them out here as well. Other places people can look for memes, Associated Memory podcasts. Here's your chance to shout out to our audience who, it may be small, but they love us and we know them all by name. So
that's all.
Loyal, dedicated fans. So
so I since 2016 have run at Youth Group Memes. It's on Instagram, and mainly on Instagram. And then I just throw stuff up on Twitter, or, it automatically gets posted to Facebook. So I don't do that, but follow that and tell all your friends. Like, I'm like 120 people away from 40,000. So like, you get all you and your friends.
Yeah, we could put them over the top. Come on.
So grab your phones of your friends, like hanging out at youth group, hanging out at family parties, and just go on their Instagram account and follow youth group memes on it. Our podcast that we just started, it'll be coming out every Wednesday, and it's the Gospel According to podcast, and it's TGAT podcast on Instagram, Zanga, MySpace,
Oh, Zynga. That takes me back.
Google Plus.
Google
So yeah,
Wave.
check that out, and we'll listen. And if you like this podcast, I think you'll like what we're doing, and you have enough time in your week to listen to both of them. So
That's
you don't have
right.
to pick and choose.
Awesome.
That's right. We do it on Tuesdays. You do it on Wednesdays. It's like the 1-2 punch.
Exactly. It's
Made
awesome.
for cable TV. It's great. Awesome.
So,
It's like
Mike,
the TGIF lineup, right?
yeah. Mike, why don't you go ahead and drop our socials, and then we'll get out of here.
Sure. If you want to help us grow our Instagram to be a little bit better, you can hit us on Instagram at Youth Group Reunion Tour. We're on Twitter at YG Reunion Tour. You could also hit us on our website. It's a YAT page, so y.at, and these are 4 emojis coming at you. The emoji cool, the emoji church, the emoji raised hands, and the emoji guitar. You can find the rest of our links, how to listen to that on Spotify, iTunes, things like that. Search for Youth Group Reunion Tour. Rate us 5 stars if you can. That really does help us. We read every single message. If you want to send us a message, youthgroupreuniontour@gmail.com is how you can reach us. And if you're a real person and not a spam bot, we'll do our best to reply to you and shout you out on the air. So with that, any last words, Jared?
No. Until next time, we'll catch you
On the flip side.
Check this out.